The galaxy had seen countless wars. Empires had risen and fallen. Worlds had burned. Fleets had clashed until nothing but wreckage drifted among the stars. But this war was different. Because now, for the first time, humanity was preparing to fight. Whispers spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On alien stations, in crowded marketplaces, and military halls, everyone was asking the same question: are the humans really going to war? The Terrans were newcomers to the stars. They had spread quickly, too quickly, building colonies on harsh worlds where no other species dared to settle. They were strange to the galaxy. They did not kneel to the older empires. They did not beg for protection. They grew strong in silence. Alien leaders met in secret councils. Some laughed. Humans are young. Their fleets are small. Their weapons are outdated. Others did not laugh. They come from a death world, one elder said quietly. Their history is endless war. If they fight us, it will not be like fighting any other race. A heavy silence always followed those words. Across the galaxy, reports kept arriving. Terran colonies were building more defenses. Their shipyards never slept. Day and night, warships rolled out one after another. Their officers drilled their crews with ruthless precision. No one knew who had provoked them. Some said an alien empire had raided a Terran colony. Others whispered that humans were simply waiting for the right time to show their strength. But everyone agreed on one thing. If humanity joined the war, the stars themselves might tremble. In the Grand Galactic Council, arguments erupted. "We must stop them before they rise too high," shouted one commander, his scales flashing with anger. "They are reckless. They will destroy the balance," another voice answered. "No, if we strike them now, we risk waking something far worse. Let us wait. Let us see if they truly dare." Back and forth they argued. Fear clashed with arrogance. Caution fought with pride, and still, humanity built. On the outer edges of known space, alien spies watched. They saw Terran fleets gathering at mustering points. They saw weapons never before recorded, tested in silence. They saw commanders with cold eyes, planning for a war that had not yet begun. One spy returned shaken. "They are not preparing like us," he whispered. "They are preparing as if every battle will be to the death. I fear they will fight until nothing remains," but his warnings were ignored. Then, it happened. The first Terran war fleet moved. It did not move slowly. It did not send warnings. It did not announce its purpose. One day, alien scouts reported clear skies. The next day, they saw Terran engines flare across the darkness, entire squadrons of ships burning toward the unknown. The galaxy fell silent. Merchants stopped talking. Councils stopped debating. Even empires that had mocked humanity only days before suddenly froze in fear. Because now it was real. Humanity had stepped into war. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Would this be another small conflict quickly forgotten? Or was this the beginning of something greater, something darker, an unexpected war that could consume them all? No one knew. Not yet. But as the Terran fleet disappeared into the void, only one truth echoed across the galaxy. The galaxy trembled. Humanity had taken its first step into war. The galaxy was no longer calm. The movement of a single Terran fleet had changed everything. Everywhere, whispers spread faster than light. The humans are moving. The Terrans are not waiting anymore. Merchants, soldiers, and rulers all repeated the same phrase. Humanity has stepped into the war. In the halls of the Grand Galactic Council, chaos ruled. Representatives of dozens of empires shouted at one another. The chamber echoed with anger, fear, and disbelief. "They are reckless children," cried one ambassador, slamming a clawed hand on the table. "They have no right to throw themselves into this war." Another voice answered coldly. "Children? Do you call them children when they build fleets faster than the Kroll Dominion? Do you call them children when their colonies survive on frozen death worlds where even we would die?" The council chamber fell into tense silence. For centuries, the galaxy had followed a quiet balance. Old empires fought small wars, tested their strength, then signed peace treaties. Worlds were conquered and traded, but never destroyed. But humanity was different. They did not respect this balance. They came from a world where storms killed cities, where predators hunted them in the dark, where survival itself was a daily war, and now, the same survivors were building fleets. Some council members demanded action. "We must strike their colonies now before they grow stronger. If we wait, they will threaten every empire." Others urged caution. They are dangerous. If we strike, we might wake something we cannot control. Back and forth the council argued. But still no decision was made. Meanwhile, far from the council chambers, alien scouts continued to watch. One scout ship followed the Terran fleet at the edge of detection. Through heavy static, their recordings showed ships painted black, moving in silence, engines burning with cold fire. The Terran vessels did not drift lazily like other fleets. They moved like hunters, disciplined, precise, ready to strike. The alien crew grew nervous. "These are not the fleets we are used to," their captain whispered. "These are war machines." The recording was sent back to the council. Many refused to believe it. "They are exaggerating," some said. "They want us to fear the humans." But the doubt had already taken root. On the outer colonies, alien civilians whispered their fears. "They will come here next. Have you seen the humans fight? They never stop." Merchants who once traded freely with Terrans now pulled back, afraid their goods would be seized for war. Entire stations grew tense whenever a human ship docked. And yet some alien mercenaries quietly began offering their services to Earth. "Better to fight beside them," one mercenary muttered, "than against them." Back in the council, a final message arrived. It came from a border world near Terran space. The transmission was shaky, the voice filled with fear. "We have seen them. The humans. They are not waiting for us. They are building something larger than fleets, larger than anything we have seen before. If they finish it, no one will be safe." The chamber froze. What were the Terrans building? What weapon could make even hardened soldiers tremble? No one could answer, but one thing was certain. The humans were not preparing like any other species. They were preparing as if every battle would be to the death. The galaxy had hoped humanity would remain small, silent, unimportant. But now the truth was clear. The Terrans were stepping fully into war, and nothing would stop them. Hook ending. And as the council argued one last time, their voices rising in panic, the galaxy received a chilling report. A single Terran destroyer had disappeared from its fleet. It had jumped into deep space. Destination, unknown. No one knew where it was going. No one knew who would be its first target, but across the stars everyone felt the same cold fear. The humans were not waiting anymore. For weeks the galaxy waited. The Terran fleet had moved, and then nothing. No word, no signal, no open declaration. It was as if the humans had vanished into the dark. Some alien leaders began to laugh again. "They are afraid," one commander said smugly. "They make noise, but they hide when real war comes." Others were not so sure. "Silence is not weakness," one elder warned. "Silence is the sound before the storm." Then, without warning, the storm arrived. On the edge of Krull Dominion space, alarms screamed. A massive boom echoed through the void as explosions lit up an outer defense station. By the time the local fleet scrambled to respond, half the station was already burning. It was the Terrans, but they had not come with thousands of ships. They had come with one destroyer. The lone Terran ship moved with terrifying speed. It slipped past minefields, tore through patrol ships, and struck at the station's heart before anyone could react. Alien officers shouted in disbelief. How can one vessel do this? It was not raw firepower. It was precision. The humans struck where it hurt most. Fuel depots, ammunition stores, communication relays. Each hit was clean. Each strike left the enemy more blind, more helpless. The Dominion fleet finally surrounded the Terran destroyer. Dozens of warships against one. The outcome should have been certain, but the humans were not fighting to survive. They were fighting to make a point. The destroyer twisted between the larger ships, its weapons roaring with brutal efficiency. Enemy captains panicked, crashing into one another as they tried to keep up. Within minutes, several Dominion warships were nothing but drifting wrecks. The humans did not linger. They finished their strike and vanished back into the darkness before reinforcements could arrive. The attack lasted less than an hour. But the shockwaves it created rippled through the galaxy. The Krull Dominion declared outrage. They are animals. They struck without warning, without honor. Yet behind closed doors, their leaders whispered in fear. If a single Terran destroyer could cripple a fortified border, what could an entire fleet do? Other empires watched closely. Some smirked. Let the Dominion bleed. They deserve it. But many more began to whisper the truth. Humanity was not playing defense. Humanity was striking first. Alien spies reported more troubling news. The Terrans had not retreated to safety. They were moving deeper, bolder, choosing targets that mattered most: supply lines, weapon stockpiles, and shipyards. The galaxy had seen raids before, but this was different. This was war designed to break the enemy's heart before the battle had even begun. One spy sent a final desperate message before disappearing. They fight like predators, not like prey. They do not wait for the enemy to come. They hunt. In the Galactic Council, panic grew. "This is madness," one leader shouted. "They do not fight like us. They do not follow our rules. If we let them continue, they will shatter everything we have built." But there was no unity. Some wanted to crush the Terrans immediately. Others wanted to leave them alone, fearful of provoking worse. The Council's endless arguments only gave the Terrans more time. Meanwhile, in Terran command centers, the plan was clear. The first strike had been only the beginning. Earth's generals studied alien responses, recording every weakness, every hesitation. They spoke few words, but one message was repeated again and again. Strike fast. Strike hard. Do not give them time to breathe. The galaxy had expected humans to fight like other young species. Defensive, desperate, easy to break. Instead, they fought like wolves unleashed. Hook ending. And then came the most terrifying report of all. The Terrans were not striking alone. Their fleets were moving in silence. Multiple destroyers had vanished from Terran space. No one knew their targets. No one knew where they would strike next. But one thing was certain. The galaxy was no longer laughing. The galaxy was holding its breath, because the first strike was only a warning. The true war had just begun. The first strike had been small in numbers but massive in meaning. A single Terran destroyer had cut through the Krull Dominion's defenses, humiliated their fleet, and vanished without loss. It was not a victory, it was a message, and that message spread faster than light. Across the galaxy, governments trembled. Markets crashed. Merchants refused to send ships anywhere near Terran space. Entire trade routes collapsed overnight, because no one wanted to risk crossing paths with a human fleet. Whispers filled the spaceports. They don't fight like us. They don't want peace treaties. They want to end wars, not win them. In the Krull Dominion capital, outrage burned. The High Command vowed revenge. Humanity will be crushed. Their colonies will be erased. Their fleets will be hunted down. But behind closed doors, their admirals argued in panic. How had one destroyer crippled their defenses so easily? How had human weapons cut through shields as if they were paper? No one could agree on an answer. One admiral finally spoke the words no one wanted to admit. It was not the ship. It was the humans. The Galactic Council, too, erupted in chaos. Once again, the Grand Chamber filled with shouting voices. "Strike them now," one delegate demanded, "before they grow too strong." "Strong?" another snapped. "They are already strong. Can you not see it? They do not fight wars as we do. They fight to destroy." The oldest council members sat in silence, remembering ancient tales, stories of Deathworlders who had risen and burned half the galaxy before being stopped. And now here was another Deathworld species, humans, stepping into war with the same fire. But fear soon grew into something worse. Reports began to arrive from the outer sectors. Spies, smugglers, and wandering scouts all claimed to have seen the same thing. The Terrans were building something. Not fleets, not colonies. Something else. One scout swore he had seen a shadow in a Terran shipyard, a vessel larger than anything in their known arsenal. Another claimed entire planets had been turned into factories, producing weapons no one could identify. A third report whispered of a construction site hidden deep in the void, so large it blocked out the stars. Most dismissed these as rumors. But the more the reports spread, the more fear took hold. In alien taverns, mercenaries whispered to each other. "I fought near their colonies once," one said, his voice shaking. "I saw their weapons. They don't build for show. They build for killing." "Do you think the rumors are true?" another asked. "Do you think they're making a warship bigger than a dreadnought?" The mercenary only nodded slowly. "If they are, then no empire will stop them." Meanwhile, Earth itself remained silent. Terran leaders sent no replies to the Council, no messages of diplomacy. Their colonies tightened security. Their fleets drilled harder. And their shipyards kept working endlessly, tirelessly. The silence was terrifying. Other empires bragged about their power, flaunted their fleets, threatened their enemies. But the Terrans said nothing, and that silence spoke louder than any threat. Inside the council chamber, desperation grew. "We cannot allow this," one delegate shouted. "If they finish whatever they are building, the galaxy will fall under their shadow." But another delegate replied, "Then why do you not strike them yourself?" Silence followed, because no empire was willing to be the first to face humanity head-on, not after what had happened to the Dominion fleet. So the council argued, and humanity built. And then came the first undeniable proof. An alien scout ship returned damaged, half its hull burned. Its captain staggered into the council chamber, barely alive. Through a cracked translator, he gave his report. "I saw it, with my own eyes. It is no dreadnought. It is something more, a warship that blots out the light of the stars. If they finish it, we are doomed." The chamber fell into dead silence. Hook ending, the galaxy had already trembled at humanity's first strike. But now it began to fear what was still to come, because if the Terrans were truly building a weapon of that scale, then no empire, no matter how ancient, no matter how strong, would survive what came next. And far away in the black silence of space, the shadow of Earth's creation continued to grow. The war machine was awakening. For months, rumors spread like fire, whispers of a Terran weapon, stories of a ship so vast it swallowed starlight. Many dismissed it as lies. Others laughed. "No young species could build such a thing," they said. "No empire has the resources. No world has the industry." But then the truth came, and when the truth arrived, the galaxy could only watch in fear. It began with a signal, a faint transmission, barely caught by alien listening posts on the edge of Terran space. It was not words. It was not threats. It was the steady, rhythmic pulse of engines. Engines larger than anything ever recorded. Scouts were sent. Some never returned. Those who did came back silent, eyes wide with terror. One scout captain, trembling before his emperor, spoke only 4 words. "It is awake now." Deep in the Sol system, hidden from spying eyes, the Terrans had finished their masterpiece. It was not a dreadnought. It was not a battleship. It was something beyond comparison. A war machine forged in the shipyards of Earth and its colonies. So large, entire fleets could dock within its hull. So heavily armed, its shadow bristled with weapons. Its engines burned brighter than a sun, pushing a mountain of steel into the void. The humans called it simple names. The Carrier, the Hammer, the Sword of Earth. But to the galaxy, it was already something else. It was the monster in the dark. When the first images leaked, the galactic markets collapsed. Merchants abandoned trade routes near Earth. Military leaders screamed at their governments to build defenses. In the Grand Council chamber, panic turned to near hysteria. "They cannot be allowed to keep it," shouted one delegate. "Destroy it now before it leaves their system." But others whispered the truth. "If we attack and fail, there will be nothing left of us, nothing." The war machine had not even moved, yet it had already conquered the galaxy with fear. Inside Terran command, the mood was cold and calm. Generals walked the decks of the massive ship, inspecting its endless halls. Thousands of crew members stood ready, every one of them trained for war. On the main command bridge, a Terran admiral gazed at the stars. His voice was low, steady, almost emotionless. "Let them come," he said. "They will break themselves against us." The galaxy did not wait. An alliance was formed in desperation. Rivals, enemies, even ancient foes setting aside their grudges. Dozens of empires united into one massive coalition fleet, their goal simple: strike Earth before the Terran war machine could leave the Sol system. It was a gamble. Some believed it would work. Others believed it would only awaken something far worse. But the fleet moved anyway. When Terran satellites detected the incoming armada, there was no panic. Earth's skies did not fill with fear. Instead, preparations began. Fighters fueled, batteries armed. Every shipyard in orbit stood ready to resupply the great vessel. The galaxy thought humans would beg for peace, surrender, or delay. But humanity only prepared for battle. And at the heart of it all, the war machine stirred. The day of the coalition's arrival came. Hundreds of alien warships dropped from faster-than-light travel into the Sol system. The sight alone should have crushed Terran morale. It was the largest fleet the galaxy had ever seen, a wave of steel stretching across the stars. Yet in that moment, Earth itself seemed silent. No fear, only waiting, and then the void shook. The Terran war machine rose from behind the shadow of a planet, its engines burning like a second sun. The alien fleet froze. It was real. It was larger than the stories, larger than the lies, larger than even their worst fears. A single ship, but a ship that looked like it could devour worlds. And when its weapons came online, the stars themselves seemed to flicker, hook ending. The galaxy had wanted to stop humanity before the war machine awoke, but they were too late. Now, as the Terran vessel turned its guns toward the Coalition fleet, the galaxy understood the truth. This was no longer about colonies, no longer about borders. This was survival, and survival meant one thing. The galaxy would burn. The galaxy waited in silence. Every sensor, every listening post, every hidden spy satellite all turned toward the edge of Terran space. Everyone wanted to see what humanity would do. The alien empire's fleet, vast and proud, gathered near a neutral system. Their war banners glowed across the stars. They expected humans to hesitate, to delay, to send diplomats. But humanity sent warships. The Terran fleet entered the system in perfect formation. Old ships refitted with new weapons, new ships born for battle. Their hulls were not graceful like alien designs. They were brutal, heavy, built for survival. Alien admirals laughed. These are not warships. These are steel coffins. They will not survive a single volley. But then the humans moved. The first salvo was not plasma, not lasers, not beams. It was kinetic fire, rods of tungsten launched at near light speed. No shields could stop them. No armor could withstand them. The alien fleet watched in horror as their proud battleships cracked open like glass. The galaxy trembled. The Terran fleet did not stop. They advanced wave after wave, striking with precision. Every move was calculated. Every strike was merciless. There was no negotiation, no warning, only war. On alien worlds, civilians whispered, the humans. They fight like no one else. They do not fear death, they bring it. The Galactic Council called an emergency session, but by the time they gathered, it was too late. The humans had already taken their first victory. The war had begun. And for the first time in history, the galaxy realized the stars themselves would never be the same again.